I still remember that afternoon very clearly. The first wind of the season blew, and dry leaves swirled across the yard.
For goodness
I stood
sake.
there, holding a broom, but I didn't even bother sweeping. No matter how much I swept, more leaves would fall. It felt like a meaningless loop. I used to think, dry leaves, kitchen scraps, they're just trash. Why bother keeping them? But then one day, while scrolling online, I came across a video about turning waste into natural fertilizer, compost. In just a few minutes, I realized people no longer called it trash. It was a resource. And strangely, even in things we thought were useless, a new life cycle was quietly waiting, where life begins again from what has decayed. At that moment, I realized, maybe the problem isn't trash, but the way we perceive it. If handled properly, every vegetable peel, every dry leaf, can become fertile soil for the future. I started with a simple question: what is composting? It seemed easy, but the deeper I dug, the more I discovered a completely different world, a vibrant cycle that nature has maintained for millions of years. Organic waste, dry leaves, vegetable peels, coffee grounds, all can return to the earth as long as we give them the right conditions. The first time I tried composting, I thought simply, just gather the waste, add some water, and cover it. But no, composting isn't just throwing everything into a pile. It's an art of balance. A balance between green waste, vegetables, fruit peels, coffee grounds, rich in nitrogen, and brown waste, dry leaves, small branches, shredded paper, rich in carbon. Too much green waste and the pile becomes wet and smelly. Too much brown waste and it's dry and won't decompose. I remember once my pile started giving off a strange smell. A neighbor passed by and joked, "And are you composting or raising rats?" I laughed, but inside I felt a bit discouraged. I had mixed it wrong and added too much water. The pile was suffocating, literally. At that moment, I almost wanted to give up. But I thought, if nature can patiently regenerate life every season, then why can't I? I started reading more, watching videos, and talking to fellow enthusiasts. A friend in Dalat told me, and composting isn't just about trash. It's a way to reconnect with nature. Every time you turn the pile, you're helping billions of microorganisms breathe. Those words completely changed my perspective. I bought a soil thermometer and a small moisture meter, and began observing. I noticed that when the temperature in the pile rose, the microorganisms were working most actively. They ate, decomposed, and generated heat. I imagined billions of tiny workers transforming dry leaves into soil. One day, I even set up an AI camera for a time-lapse of my compost pile. It was magical. Just a few days later, the leaves gradually darkened and steam rose, as if life itself was being rekindled. AI allowed me to see what the naked eye couldn't: the rate of change, decomposition, and renewal. I began to feel that composting was not just a task, but a journey of observation and patience. Every morning, when I went to the yard, I'd open the lid, inhale the scent of fermenting soil, and feel as if I were standing in a forest. It's strange, just the smell of compost, but it brings such a sense of calm and closeness. Of course, it wasn't always easy. On rainy days, the pile would get soaked and the odor became strong. I had to dry the leaves, adjust the layers, and turn it regularly. On scorching sunny days, the pile would dry out and the microorganisms would hibernate. I'd lightly water it, add some coffee grounds, the morning vitamins for my compost, as I jokingly called them. Day by day, I realized I was beginning to understand the pile as if it were a living being. It breathes, eats, sleeps, and transforms. Have you ever felt that way? The feeling of seeing things you thought were useless, vegetable peels, eggshells, coffee grounds, gradually becoming rich, fertile soil? It's a very real, hard to express feeling. Around day 30, I noticed the pile's color changing. Temperature stabilized, moisture balanced. The bad smell vanished, replaced by the subtle earthy aroma, the smell of a forest after rain. I felt like I was on the right track. From then on, I meticulously recorded every stage, every change. I used an AI app to analyze trends: moisture, weather, temperature, and decomposition speed. The app suggested turn compost every 5 days in damp conditions, or add carbon if the temperature drops below 40 degrees Celsius. I was amazed. Technology isn't distant from nature. It can actually help us understand it better. One early morning, I opened the lid and saw what I had been waiting for, a layer of dark brown, fine soil, smelling of the forest. I couldn't believe my eyes. I scooped a handful, squeezed gently. It was crumbly, neither wet nor dry. I smiled. That was day 60. The feeling of seeing the result is indescribable. It wasn't just the success of a small experiment, but a transformation within myself. From someone who once hesitated to clean up leaves, I became eager whenever I heard them fall, because I knew they weren't trash, they were ingredients for life. A few days later, I brought the compost to the garden. I mixed it with soil, planted a few vegetable seeds, some tomatoes, a few onions. Within a week, green shoots appeared. I laughed, a full, proud, peaceful laugh. Every time I looked at that garden, I remembered late nights standing under the lamp, turning compost in the damp, earthy smell, my back soaked with sweat. All that effort, every drop of sweat, every mistake, had transformed into a lush green garden where every young leaf was proof of patience and faith. You see, composting isn't just about waste management. It's a way of life. When you learn to turn waste into soil, you also learn to turn meaningless things in life into value. Someone like me, once lazy and dismissive of leaves, now finds joy in seeing them fall. Because I understand that everything can be reborn if we give it a chance. Today I continue composting, but at a different level. I experiment with AI temperature sensors, automated misting systems, and I'm developing a smart compost map to help neighbors share composting data, optimizing methods, saving time, and reducing waste. It may sound futuristic, but in reality, it all started with a handful of dry leaves in my small yard. And perhaps the greatest miracle of those 60 days wasn't the perfect compost pile, but the change in mindset. I realized living sustainably isn't a trend, it's a meaningful choice. When we plant a seed, compost a pile, or simply avoid throwing away what can still regenerate, we contribute to healing our earth. Looking back at my garden after 60 days, I still can't believe it. Leaves that seemed useless had become fertile soil, nurturing each green sprout. The scent of earth, leaves, and life reminded me that every small action makes a big difference. Composting not only reduces waste and saves money on fertilizer, but also teaches patience, observation, and respect for nature. Every time I mix, turn, or add dry leaves, it feels like conversing with nature, feeling the rhythm of countless microorganisms. I want you to imagine this: a handful of dry leaves, a few leftover vegetable peels, and yourself. It's enough to start a journey turning waste into a valuable resource, creating a healthier environment. If I, once reluctant to tend the garden, once dismissive of waste, can do it, so can you. Start small, and day by day, witness the miracle of life regenerating right in your home. Don't forget to subscribe to the Compost channel to join me in exploring more green journeys, organic waste management tips, and secrets to turning every garden into a sustainable source of life for your family and community.